Morning everyone. I make it 11 o'clock, so I'm going to start this webinar. So just to introduce myself, I'm Lynn Berman. I am HR Business Partner and Associate Director for Clover HR, and I'll be talking you through the webinar today on performance management and managing an employee's performance. Just to a bit of introduction into Clover. We are a team of about 35 business partners with a wealth of experience across all aspects of HR and the employee life cycle, and hopefully across all aspects of business as well, all different industry sectors. So hopefully you can find this very useful today. We are 5 years old this month, so we've been celebrating hard. And this will be the final time I show this slide, but yeah, congratulations to Clover for 5 years in March. Clover recently received our ISO 9001 award accreditation last year, which we're all really proud of. And this demonstrates not only our commitment and professionalism to our clients, but the high standard of compliance we achieve. And we're very pleased with this. I just wanted to share that with you. Q&A, you're welcome to put questions in the chat or in the Q&A section, and I will have a look at. But alternatively, we can go to some questions at the end if you want. I'll give it a few minutes. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or email me direct and ask if it's a private matter within your business. All the microphones are muted just to allow me to get through the session. But again, I will try and keep an eye on the chat throughout. And if you need to ask me anything, I'll try and answer you there and then. So the structure of today's webinar, the importance of managing performance in an organisation. So the content really that I'm going to go through is the importance of managing performance, what that means, the role for the manager, the role for the employee, the importance of managing performance during probation period, because that can differ slightly, and I'll talk you through how that could differ. The cycle of performance management and the personal development plan, probably all heard of. It's how to do it well, and I'll try and give you some hints and tips on that. And then a bit of a summary at the end, and I've got a poll question to ask, and obviously any Q&A you want to ask. So I hope you find it all interesting. Take the bits you need to take, but obviously if there's anything after today you want to run through with any of the Clover team, then please get in touch. So why is managing performance important? Providing clarity of what a job role entails is fundamental in achieving that goal. The company So along with the initial induction, the handbook, the policies and procedures that you set, it gives an opportunity to impart more information about the role and how it fits in with the company. So they know what your expectations are, and it's clear to see how they're going to achieve that. You've got to help the business in goal setting and help the employees to achieve those business goals. So communicate the business goals in detail and the individual goals for that person, and how they can achieve this and how it all fits together. So they'll see their part plays a real fundamental part in the company goals. You've got to create development and training strategies. So training and development are important in their own right as motivational tools and goal achieving practices. However, it allows for a step plan to be given to ensure it meets the business needs and it matches those needs. So not training for training's sake. So we've got to create an ongoing interaction and occasions of encouragement. So create communication opportunities. This is about positive news as well as possibly constructive feedback. So we've got to make sure we create that opportunity to give that communication, whether that be in meetings, town hall meetings, one-to-ones, appraisals, corridor conversations, and we need to create that avenue. Provide the opportunity for exchanging feedback and talk about career prospects. So again, important communication opportunity here. Feedback intrinsically to individuals' motivation. So if they, and this will also help form part of your succession planning as a business. So if you know where that employee wants to go, what their career motivations are, and what they want to achieve, you will help them along that journey, but also it will help you see what the bigger picture looks like in a few years' time. Improve employees' productivity and confidence. So because the pragmatic, constructive feedback can help. It will improve their confidence by knowing you're being honest and open with them, and they're clear on what they need to do to achieve that goal and that level of productivity. So employees feel more valued for their commitment and hard work. This, as above, goes without saying. If you're honest with them and tell them what you expect, they're going to feel more valued as an employee and hopefully work harder for you. Boost employee engagement and job satisfaction. Again, we want them to be happy in their job, and identify they feel valuable, and recognise them on reward and recognition. So you could have incentive schemes put in place, employee of the month, employee of the quarter, and just to try and highlight where they've gone above and beyond their usual job. And early detection of underperforming issues. This can't be stressed enough. It's very important. Don't let anything fester. So it prevents a bigger issue as underperformance is identified, and a plan of improvement put in place. It's important to action it and not let it fester. It's important the employee knows where the weaknesses are and lie, and how support can be offered to help the situation. So correct it before it becomes a major issue. And this is, if it does escalate, it is harder for the employee and the employer longer term. So when we look at the role of the manager has to be fully committed into this process. The request or process may have come from another source, or a business owner or HR. However, the manager, as part of their job, should be interested in the team's performance and the individual's performance. So really, performance management is an integral part of the manager's role, and should be reviewed on their ability to manage performance. So lead the process, ensure they lead that process, and they put their conviction behind it, that they understand and they're a part of that. Although it's an opportunity for employees to discuss, it is the manager's tool to ensure obviously that the goals are reached and people perform to the standards expected. The manager needs to drive this forward and take the responsibility for ensuring this happens. So managers manage performance fairly, and base decisions on merit, be pragmatic and base decisions on fact and not hearsay. Agree SMART objectives. You've all heard of this: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So this is a plan for the future with goals and objectives. Review the individual performance against objectives and competencies through the year. So it shouldn't be just an annual thing. If objectives aren't reached in the specified time period, further support may be needed, further action plan may be needed. And if issues arise, try and discuss it with an HR or a professional body, as each case is different and requires a different approach. Give feedback and encourage an open discussion about career prospects. It provides information, obviously, as I said earlier, for succession planning, but it also motivates the employee that you've got their best interests at heart, and helps for staff retention, potentially, that they know they've got a future within the business. Support the employee to achieve the objectives through coaching and offering training. Again, not training for training's sake, but is it specific to the needs of the individual, and does it help the business overall? Manage the underperformance. As previous slide, it's an opportunity to put things right. If when you offer support along that way, you can turn things around a lot of the time. And obviously, if you can't, we will talk about that. So hold annual appraisal reviews. I say annual because that's the least you need to do. It should be more often, and it's best practice to try and do it more often. It doesn't have to be a formal meeting. So discussions around performance, feedback to every team member, give them the opportunity to feed back to you how they think they're performing. Lots of managers see this as a bit of a form-filling burden exercise, but this should be an extension to their day-to-day. So giving managerial tasks, giving feedback. It doesn't have to be, as I say, an annual formal review. It could be just a sit-down, 10-minute chat once a month to see how they're getting on, whether they are achieving the goals that we set in the previous meeting. So the role of the employee is for them to honestly assess their growth and challenges through the year. What have they found difficult? What are they finding challenging? What do they feel they've accomplished and done well? Positives and negatives all together. They've got to cooperate with the manager in setting the objectives. This is for their success in their roles. They've got to take accountability of this and see the bigger picture. Take ownership and not expect the managers to give the answers or suggest the training all the time. Say what they need and what they're finding difficult. They need to work effectively towards achieving individual goals and see how their individual goals are in line with the business goals and the values that the company have. Communicate effectively with the line manager, speak openly, make questions and raise concerns. A lot of the time this falls back if there isn't that communication between the employee and the manager and that working relationship. So you need to make sure that's happening in order for it to spot a problem and obviously sort the problem out, but they need to obviously also give positive feedback and keep that employee motivated in their role. If they take responsibility, obviously, for their own continuous performance improvement, and if they need further development once they've carried out any training, then they need to emphasise this to their line manager. Again, they don't need to wait for a formal meeting that needs to take place in the performance review. This can happen at any time and should happen. So they need to request the meeting with the line manager and ask for that support, that direction, or a fresher discussion on what's expected in their duties and behaviours. Most important thing is make clear their career aspirations. As an employee, you need to tell your employers if you have those career aspirations, because they can help you get there as well as you doing the things you need to do to get there as well. So when we look at the importance of managing performance during probation, this can differ. So the sooner performance is reviewed, the better, to avoid ongoing discussions. And that probation period is crucial for the employee and the employer to know whether it's working or not. It can be quite clear early on whether an employee fits into the culture, the values of the company, but on a performance route, this needs to be looked at as well. So probation periods, although not a legal requirement, if they are part of the employment contract, then they should be done. So many people have things that they were maybe relying on for passing their probation, such as mortgage applications, rent reviews. And people very often put a lot of emphasis on passing their probation, as it gives them a certain amount of security. Although in reality, they won't have full security, obviously, for the first 2 years. But how long should a probation period be? During a lot of the clients I look after and deal with, this does vary from company to company. It could be 1 month, 3 months, 6 months even. And it can be extended at any time if the employer feels the period that there's underlying doubts or any issues. So these need raising straight away. However, the employee, because they cannot, these need raising, however, with the employee because they cannot improve what they don't know to improve. So processes and procedures in a probationary period can be short-circuited to a certain extent. And this is the period of time an employee really needs to prove to their employer what they can bring to the table. However, the employee should not be subject to any discrimination and is protected from day one under certain characteristics. So we have to remember that. Any concerns on this, please don't hesitate to contact us at Clover. Obviously, we can help you ensure the paperwork is compliant, legal and ethical. But it's always important within a probationary period to get it right. If the review is not done, you may give the wrong impression to the employee of disinterest in them or their work, demotivating, and just not having a good start to their employment. It should be combined with their induction, and these are important first few months, and some say the most important to get them settled into the business. And if all the time and money you're wasting if this isn't a success by not doing it properly. So the cycle of a performance management. So what is a performance management cycle? Some of you may have heard of this. It is a continuous improvement process for planning, checking, measuring the employee's performance to align to the success of the employee with the organisational goals and values. So what are the 4 stages of a performance management cycle? So you've got the planning. So you've got your SMART objectives, which are specific objectives, measurable, achievable. They can't be unrealistic, and it's timely. What time frame do you want those to be achieved in? Is the time frame realistic in itself? Then we monitor the progress and continuously monitor the performance of that. We're developing the employee's ability to perform through extra support, training that we might give, and also looking at rating periodically and rewarding good performance. So give stages of where they've got to and give positive reinforcement throughout that, but also then stages that they're not achieving. Why aren't they achieving it? And it's a constant cycle throughout. And this isn't just during someone's first 3 months, 6 months. This is continuously in someone's employment. They should know what they've got to achieve and how they're going to achieve it, and have that approachability as a line manager to come and say, how can you help me? And this is what I need. One thing I did want to ask you now is a poll question, and I will put it up for you to have a think about while I carry on with the next few slides. So I wanted to ask you, has hybrid working had an impact on your way of performance management? I feel a lot of people are now working from home, a lot of people aren't in the office as much, and I was just wondering from your point of view whether you feel it's had an impact. So I'll send that out now, and you can answer that as we go along to the next few slides. So if we move on while you answer that question. So when we look at the personal development plan, so when we look at personal development plan, so inform steps to the personal development plan are forms don't have to be formal or complicated, and better to ask specific questions in some situations. Consider that not everyone is good or interested in filling out forms that will turn them off. So try and make it user-friendly. The important things is getting their ideas recorded for them to be able to discuss and get a conversation started with them. Get them thinking about their performance. Pitch the form to fit the role. They don't have to all be the same format, just needs to serve the purpose. So not everyone will have a career plan also, but they will have objectives and they need to achieve them. So don't worry if someone's happy in their job and they love their job, how do they achieve that to their full ability? Or if they're doing their job well, how can they reach that next level or stage? But give the employee plenty of time to complete these forms, and that will help them with an understanding of it and also be able to make sure it's consistent throughout. So in summary, we need to look at performance management as an integral part of the employee-employer relationship. We know that. And once it's established, it just needs to continue. You've got established routine in place. It should be led by the manager, however, the employee needs to bring cooperation, ideas, suggestions, solutions to the process. Probation reviews are the first part in this process and should be done right to ensure a successful contribution to the business. And this is integral in make sure they're part of the team, part of the business, and they know what they've got to achieve. Goal setting, again, should be used and tied in with business goals. A performance plan should be made and written up for future reference, so they know exactly where they're going to get to. But performance management doesn't have to be formal or complicated, but just needs to be geared towards serving the employee and the business in the best interests of both parties. We do have a free employer guide that we can offer, and which is understanding performance management. So after today, if you want to have a look on our website, it's on there. Alternatively, if you want to email Charlotte with the email address that's there, charlotte@cloverhr.co.uk, she can send you something through. It's a short guide just to help understand some of the hints and tips when you are managing someone's performance. I'm just going to have a look at what the results are of that, and I'll share the results with you. So it does appear that hybrid working has had an impact on performance management ways. Yes, positively for 29% and negatively for 29%. You have got some people unsure at this stage. Obviously, there's probably new working practices in place, and there's 14% that's been no impact negatively, which is great news, but we also need to keep an eye on it. For those people that have said it has had an impact on performance, hybrid working has had an impact on performance negatively, we need to address those and see why it's happening. Obviously, you haven't got much face-to-face interaction. You need to find different ways of making sure that employee-employer relationship is strong. So I'll come to the questions in a moment. Just to move on, just some information regarding Clover. We had a client satisfaction survey last year where we scored 100% in communication with our clients. 100% of our clients would rate us speed of response as excellent or good, which is great. So if you do need anything after today, please don't hesitate to contact any of us, and I'm more than happy to help. So I'm just going to go on to Q&A now and see if there is anything on there. I do believe I've got a question, so I'm going to answer that now, if I can. What makes a successful 1, 2 and 3 month probation meeting? Any tips? First things first, get it clear what their role is. And I would just say meet them on a regular basis, whatever's feasible for you as a workplace in that 1, 2 and 3 months. Every meeting, when you get to the end of the probation period, nothing should be a shock to the employee. And so they should have known if they were underperforming, how they were underperforming and why, and how we can, what you expect, what good looks like. And they should have a clear indication of this to get to the end of the probationary period. If that decision is made to either extend it or fail their probation, it shouldn't be a shock to them why. I would say within if it was a 3 month probationary period, certainly meet with them after month 1 maybe halfway through 1.5, maybe try and do it every 2 weeks during that time, even if it's just a 10-minute, is everything all right and on track? You've got time to adjust things throughout that 3 months and change things, put training in place, maybe offer them a mentor, explain things maybe a second and third time. Not everyone learns at the same speed as each other, so we need to be conscious of that and adapt our style accordingly. I'm going to wait a few more minutes to see if there's any other questions on here. Feel free to ask, but alternatively, yeah, I love this subject to the point where it's great to turn things around. So really don't be afraid to address the things you're not happy with. You can turn that employee around. It's fantastic for the employee initially, but obviously for the employer, the amount of input and training and recruitment process that you put into gaining that individual, the smallest of movements can change that employee's performance and hopefully let them stay for the future of the business. So thank you for listening today. I hope it's helped, and even if it's just given a few key pointers and tips along the way. And this will be live, well, this will be recorded and on our website and on YouTube. So if you want to refer to it or refer any of your managers to watching this, or want copies of any slides to help, just let me know. It was great to speak to you today, and I hope you have a good day and enjoy this sun. See you later.